support, but they do need the support of everyone in their party. And moderate Democrat Senator Joe Manchin is already critical of the price tag. That could affect the bill as committees work on the legislation. And then there's the House. Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying that her chamber won't take up a separate Senate bipartisan infrastructure bill without this budget reconciliation bill as well. Lindsay?
Thank you. Still to come, the nurse report accused of giving fake COVID vaccines and the power of someone who really listens. But first, a sneak peek of Superstar debuts tonight at 10 on ABC. The first episode chronicles the life of iconic singer Whitney Houston. We'll be right back.
Whitney Houston came into a family that was rich in musical history.
Well, Sissy Houston is Whitney's mother. Had a very distinguished career herself as a singer.
Among her relatives were Dionne Warwick. Her official godmother was Darlene Love, the voice of so many of those phenomenal Phil Spector hits.
We became close, probably when she was about 7 or 8. She was this cute little bundle of joy. She was surrounded by legends. Aretha Franklin was like her honorary aunt.
Whitney and Sissy sang together in the background sections of Shangri-La.
Working with Sissy for quite a while as a background singer. One day, we were in the studio. She said, I have a daughter who can sing. I said, really? I said, how old is she? She said, 11, 12. I said, bring her on in. Bring her in. I want to hear her sing. And she was amazing. Just amazing.
Now, when it matters most, the straightforward facts. ABC News is America's #1 news. Good Morning America, #1 in the morning, 9 years running. World News Tonight with David Moore, #1 in the evening with America's most watched newscast. 2020, the #1 news magazine on Friday nights. The #1 daytime talk show. And ABC News Live, #1 in streaming news. ABC News is America's #1 news.
Those powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
There's an extraordinary story.
A computer salesman was supposed to report to prison to begin a 17-year sentence.
They let him turn himself into jail with no escort.
No one thought he would run.
How do you evade capture for 25 years? How do you do that?
Now, join the search, following the U.S. Marshals as they uncover new leads in a global manhunt. Can you help catch this fugitive?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Listen and join the all-new Hunt wherever you get your podcasts.
Admit it. These days, what you need to know,
Seems to change just about every day.
what is it that you really want to know, need to know,
To help you not just get through your day,
but to make the most of it. Feel smarter.
feel better.
Feel happier.
Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America?
GMA 3, what you need to know. Now streaming on ABC News Live.
It's all about you.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? All right, let's go. How are you? Yeah.
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do? I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 12 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
Didn't go there.
So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
News, live events. Streaming straight
much wider group of people were affected. According to local reports, the nurse had shared anti-vax messages on social media. And a British court has granted the U.S. permission to appeal a decision not to extradite WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange for espionage. A man lending his ears to his community, where residents of a small town are finding comfort in a stranger who's just willing to listen.
It had nothing to do with COVID. But Will Norman says 2020 was the hardest year of his life. Personally, he was at an all-time low and just needed someone to talk to, but nobody was listening.
I felt alone. I felt like I was in a hole, kind of felt that there was no one.
But rather than wallow in self-pity, Will took it as a sign to put up his own sign.
I'm Will. Hi.
Pretty much every day, Will sits at this busy intersection in Hazel and invites anyone who passes by to talk. People he doesn't know tell him things he can't believe. Everything from cancer diagnosis to drug addiction to alcohol abuse.
And it's not like 1 or 2 beers. I'll drink a 6-pack, 8 beers.
Why would people share these things with a complete stranger?
Because they have no one. People say, nobody cares about me. They don't care what happens to me. And I'll be like, well, I care what happens to you. I'm right there with you.
For many people, he's heaven sent.
Anybody that's willing to give up their time to help other people is a saint.
Will doesn't know these people, and most of them he'll never see again, which made him wonder, was being out here really helping anyone? And that's when man sat down, who told him something he'd never forget.
He said I was on my way to kill myself, and he said I just saw you, and and I felt that I just had to stop.
Will encouraged the man to get help, and he did. Checked himself into the hospital, and when he got out a week later, the first thing he wanted to do was say thank you.
And he turned around and started walking off, and he just stopped and turned around and just said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. And so
it was the confirmation Will needed.
Yeah.
And also the closure.
Last year was the worst of times for me, but at the same time, it was the best of times because it's given me a purpose to do. And purpose in life.
Everyone wants to be heard, but those who speak the loudest are those who are willing to listen.
Exactly.
In Hazel.
It was a pleasure meeting you, man.
I'm Sean Gibby.
Goodness gracious, I know my knees. I did the same thing. It was a pleasure meeting you.
What a wonderful story. Our thanks to Sean for that. And Will Norman tells everyone he meets the same thing. No one can help everyone, but everyone can help someone. Words we can all take to heart. Again, our thanks to WFAA in Dallas. That is our show for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Most, the straightforward facts. ABC News is America's #1 news. Good Morning America, #1 in the morning, 9 years running. World News Tonight with David Moore, #1 in the evening with America's most watched newscast. 2020, the #1 news magazine on Friday nights. The #1 daytime talk show. And ABC News Live, #1 in streaming news. ABC News is America's #1 news.
omitted key evidence, and it failed to include witnesses whose testimony did not support the narrative that was clear that this investigation was going to weave from day one.
The sexual harassment allegations are not the only controversy that has been swirling around the governor.
There were so many questions for Governor Cuomo about the use of state resources to write a book about providing preferential testing for his friends and family, and whether he fudged the numbers when it came to COVID-19 deaths in state nursing homes. And so a lot of the luster had already started to come off by the time women started to come forward with accusations.
In 2 weeks, Governor Cuomo will be succeeded by Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. The former Congresswoman from Buffalo will make history as New York's first female governor. And for the women at the heart of this investigation, today perhaps signaling a turning point and a way forward.
It is a wake-up call for men to start showing respect for women in the workplace, to treat them as professionals, which is what women want. It's what the 11 women wanted.
Our thanks to Eric. For more on the stunning resignation, earlier tonight I spoke with Joanna Burke, founder of the Me Too movement. Thank you so much for joining us. First question, what was your reaction to the governor's announcement today he was resigning, and did his attempt at an apology go far enough?
My reaction was shock. I actually thought he was going to go down with the ship. And I don't know that you can call what we heard from him an apology. I think it was more like gaslighting and really trying to turn the blame back on the survivors. The last moment that he could have taken to show leadership, he, in my opinion, really blew it.
To that point, let me get your reaction to something that he said. He said there are generational and cultural shifts that I just didn't fully appreciate, and I should have. In this day and age, does that pass from a politician, a business leader, for anyone to say, I just didn't get it?
It does not pass. We are talking about, first of all, a governor, one of the few persons in his position in the country who was active in passing laws around sexual harassment and sexual violence in the state of New York. So you are very clear about what that is. But also, what generation are you talking about? Anita Hill happened 30 years ago, right? He's obviously of the generation that should know better.
Governor Cuomo, as you know, is the latest in a long list of powerful figures to fall from grace for allegedly harassing women. Why do you think these incidents keep happening?
I think it keeps happening because it's so insidious. It is deep in the fiber and fabric of this country. It is undergirded by power and abuse of power. And that takes a long time to disrupt and a long time to unpack.
What does this day mean for the Me Too movement at large and sexual assault survivors in general?
The movement really is about survivors finding a collective voice so that we can take action and then we can find healing. It's not about who we get to take down, who steps down from office, and that's really not the end result of the goal. Because for every Cuomo that has to resign, there is a Trump who never gets to pay account for what he's done. What the movement is about is those 11 women coming forward. What the movement is about is the Tish James taking them seriously and digging in and investigating so we can have a fair and balanced outcome. So this is, to me, this day is cathartic, I'm sure, for a lot of the survivors and for survivors around the world.
And final question, if in fact this is a teachable moment for our nation, what changes do you want to see happen in our society?
If this is a teachable moment, I want America who's watching, the people who are watching around the world to know that there's power in the collective voices of survivors and we can move the needle when we speak together.
Joan Burke, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll guide you through it all tonight. We have made it through another week together.
Big hug.
America's #1 news source.
This is GMA3, what you need to know. GMA3.
The third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon.
It's all about you. Lunchtime on ABC.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live.
We're surrounded by people squeezing into this bomb shelter.
Run, urgent delivery, run. So my question, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Breaking news, live events.
This is the moment.
Streaming straight to you, anytime, anywhere.
You just met one friend right here.
You're watching ABC News Live. Thanks for streaming with us.
Now streaming on ABC News Live 2020. True crime, cinematic, real-life drama, stunning, the unthinkable. Follow the clues. The Hunt. True crime 2020. Now streaming on ABC News Live. The most powerful stories of our time and time. Nightline.
We're here at Substance Skate Park in Bushwick, Brooklyn, where this crew feels empowered to try things they've never done before, even wiping out with friends to help them up when they do. Alana T is trying to land a trick called the rock and roll. This is what the new face of skateboarding looks like.
New York City has a lot of skaters of different backgrounds and identities that are not traditionally represented in skateboarding.
They're establishing inclusive spaces where non-binary and trans skaters won't feel like outsiders, fighting to make sure anyone who wants to skate can. Since the start of the pandemic, it's blown up across the country. In June 2020, sales of skateboarding equipment increased by 118% compared to the same period in 2019. It's been front and center on the largest athletic stage in the world, the Tokyo Olympics. The first time skateboarding has been included in the games, with winners as young as 13, like Momiji Nishiyama, who took home gold for Japan. But also for misgendering American non-binary skater Alana Smith, who proudly had their pronouns, they, them, scribbled on their deck. And in Brownsville, Brooklyn, at the Sunbaked Flood Skate Park, this crew knows how important that kind of representation is. I'm about to get on board with Shawnee, Anna, and Corey, founders of the NYC-based collective Pansy Skate.
We want to make sure that people feel safe because they deserve that, especially queer people, people that are marginalized because of the color of their skin, people that are marginalized because of their gender and sexuality. Like, these people deserve this space.
Talk to me a little bit about, this journey that you've been on and actually coming out and how skating has helped you.
I didn't really know myself as well. I was living in Wisconsin in like a pretty small town. At that point in my life, I didn't really know I was trans yet either, or like a genderqueer person. I think that's a part of like the queer experience, is like figuring out who you are. But then I got into skating and I met these people and I was like, oh, this is like my people. Like, I very much believe in chosen family, and like that's my chosen family. And at the end of the day, like, that there's going to be a place for you.
Along with providing a safe space for skaters, Pansy hosts community meetups.
We did a Juneteenth event with Quell Magazine and They Skate, which is another queer skateboarding organization, and we raise money for queer Black organizations, and so whatever way that we can give back to that community, we felt like that was the best way that we could do it.
And it's amazing to see faces in person, to talk to them and just be like, we're here for you. And we always do a little roundup at the beginning to just be like, if you ever need to talk to us about anything. We all just had a great time celebrating life and skating.
And now, I guess it's my turn.
The guys at Pansy are obviously pros, but here at Nightline, it is safety first, so I'm gonna get suited up before they teach me some tricks. All right, I'm ready to ollie.
Yep. Just snap